Hello, welcome to the Shelly Show. I'm Shailendra and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Hope you're safe and maintaining the social distancing. For you to view this episode and other sessions that are on emerging technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to directly ask questions from our guests. So please press the follow button on LinkedIn and Twitter and subscribe button on YouTube. Okay, after the huge success of the previous episode on women in data science, I thought let's turn it into a series. And so we will be live with women in data science every fortnight, allowing us to celebrate the leading ladies of data science by bringing them to this platform and understanding their point of view on how data science world is moving forward. So if you know a leading lady of data science and want everyone to hear their point of view by featuring them on the roundtable here, please mention their name in the comment section. In today's episode, I have three very special guests delivering value to the industry for the past few years from three different continents. Yes, Asia, Australia, and Americas. So, India, US, and Australia. I think everyone from a beginner and to an experienced data scientist would learn from them and will have a lot of questions. So there is your opportunity to ask them questions directly. Please write your questions in the comment section and we will take them. Now, let me not waste any time and quickly bring the guests to you. My first guest is Mitali Dutta from Philips. Her expertise is in accelerating transformation programs around process changes with effective data and analytics insights. In the last few years, she has specialized in B2B side of business analytics across sales, marketing, and supply chain domain. She has led teams with analysts, business intelligence experts, and data scientists across end-to-end transformational programs. Given Philips' ambition to touch life of a few billion people by 2025, she feels proud to lead enterprise information management capabilities around data quality, governance, and insights, helping product groups play a key role in this journey. So let me bring in Mitali. Hi, Mitali, how are you?
Hello, Shelly. I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to the Shelly Show.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Let me bring in the other guests. My second guest is Sara Nooravi, who is Senior Financial Analyst at Snap Inc. Sara Nooravi is a lifelong learner and data geek. She has a history of delivering innovative marketing tools to help drive better business decisions in the entertainment, gaming, and social media industries. She's also passionate about teaching and giving back to the community. In that spirit, she has led and coordinated machine learning meetups at MobilityWare, Ticketmaster, and mentors aspiring data scientists and engineers through groups like WIBD, SWE, and GLAD. These activities support a core motivation for Sara, her motivation helping set up others for success in the industry. Hi, Sara. Welcome to the Shelly Show.
Hi, Shelly. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Very good. And I know it's late night for you. Thank you for keeping awake at this hour.
Of course.
Okay. And finally, we have Jolie Baasch. Jolie is over 20 years experience in data science, working in fields such as financial services, health and insurance, digital entertainment, software development, consulting services, and government. Jolie started her career as actuarial work and currently manages a product development and innovation function at New South Wales Land Registry Services, leading a team that creates and supports new property data-driven insights and solutions in Australia. So we have her from Australia.
Hi, Shelly. How are you going?
Good, Jolie. Welcome to the Shelly Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very good. So, girls, we are from three different continents: Australia, North America, and Asia. Thank you for taking time out, and it is different time zones, and I really appreciate your time, guys. Okay, first, before I kickstart the questions to you, we've got more than 50 people watching us live at the moment. And guys, thank you for watching us. Please shoot the question in the comment section. Okay, first question from me is around the processes around data science processes. So when I started my career, it was all hit and trial, right in the corporate world. So everything around data science. First of all, data science world didn't exist. It was about analytics, and Jolie and Mitali, you would agree with me. It was all about analytics, predictive modeling, and which has now become data science and machine learning. And I can't keep up with the names that are changing so quickly. So what are the processes that you see currently? I would start with Jolie. What's your point of view around the processes that you see in data science at the moment? Please give us your point of view.
Sure. I guess so. Like you'd understand, the world has changed significantly. When we used to start off doing analytics and data science models, it was very much a trial and error approach. You would sometimes be having to take months to develop models, test them, difficulty in accessing data, difficulty in getting sponsors to come on board and test new innovative ways of doing business and having a look at data. But now, fast forward 20 or so years, there's a wealth of information that we can use. It's now more about trial and error, like not also a trial and error, but like fast failing, having a whole lot of different competing models, and there's a very much an expectation on delivery. So people are expecting the outcomes from a lot of these models. So it's sort of, I feel that a couple of decades ago, it started off as almost like a cottage industry where we'd sort of go and we'd have a little bit of a look and a test around and see what works. But now, people can understand the power of data and what it can bring. There's expectations on people in our industry to deliver. There's usually dollar signs and rather, savings or revenue or benefits to citizens. So the expectations have risen. Also, the turnover of models, the rate of change in society, the change in data. It's not like you could build a credit model and set it to forget for 5 years. Things are changing now. So I think the big change that I've seen is around rapid change, being able to, the word agile, all the time. So much more data coming in, and expectations as well. But it's great because that holds us accountable, and it's nice to show, that you develop a model and it's not going to sit on the shelf. People are keen to take it up and run with it and see what it can do. And as a data scientist, that's the kind of feedback I love.
Okay. I'll hold on to that word outcomes, because I think that will be the key to our discussion going forward as well. Mitali, what is your point of view? You are in the corporate world. It is in the corporate world still the hit and trial, or you've got a certain a process, an end-to-end process. I've got an end-to-end process which I have built over the years. I can share it with you guys, but how is it with you? How do you see that?
Yeah, definitely. I think adding on to what just now Jolie mentioned, what I have seen personally in the last two decades, the whole data space, first of all, when we started, we used to have reportings which could have been managed in Excel itself, or with MS Access database to begin with, and slowly we started to have SQL servers, and the whole cloud-based thing started also in the industry. But if you think about the data itself, it has not only grown in volume, but the speed at which the data is building today and the variety it holds. So all these three B's that is today in the world of, we going digital, has basically evolved by bringing more data to us. It also wanted us to stabilize and structure our processes to deal with it. So hence the whole new word which got coined, which I have seen personally in the last, 6 years back, was data science.
Yep.
That bring the science to the data now, because it has the variety, the volume and velocity that is needed to basically figure out what it is telling you, and then implement it as soon as possible so that you can basically benefit from what the data is trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is then comes the processing. Now, such volume and variety you cannot process. It's more unstructured data. When we started Shelly, it was structured data. It was coming in tables, columns. We knew the primary keys, we knew the secondary keys. We could match the customer with the products. We could match the transactions happening in the sales world. More or less, we were asked to increase the sales, get the incremental marketing revenue out of it. But now what we ask is, what are the sentiments? What the customer is wanting from us? What is the expected sentiment I want to reach? And customer satisfaction is the key now. So people really want to know what's in that in between the line. So processing has become a challenge. So a lot of new technologies and structuring this whole end-to-end cleaning and curing the data has started. And the third thing which I have seen in this processing and outcome journey is in the palm, in the hand. I want it all right here. Don't ask me to read my report. All the executives, decision makers in the industry, they're just saying, when I open my mobile, I should know what's the next thing I need to make my decision based on. So it's all about getting it in the palm, managing the data, and having that structured way of making it so fast that new technologies are emerging. And I'm sure we'll talk about it also in the next part of the discussion. But that's my experience.
Yep, and I totally agree with you. Well, to be honest, I must say that here, that I was one of the few guys who started analytics in India in 1996, 97, when we set up SAS Institute. And I used to go to people and ask about SAS. Well, I come from SAS Institute. They used to say, what institute, what do you teach? And if they would go any further, they would say, oh, Scandinavian Airlines. No, it's SAS, sorry. So anyways, but yeah, things have changed significantly now that you've got not only utilizing the structured data, but also the semi-structured and the unstructured data coming in from IoT and everything. So yeah, we'll talk about that as we go forward. But I'll quickly get on to Sara. Sara, from a product development point of view, so new products coming up, and you've spent a lot of time in the social media space where the semi-structured data is flowing in is changing almost every second, every minute. How do you see processes being assigned and aligned? Have you seen any new processes coming up, or it's still hit and trial? How is it going in your industry?
Right. So I think building off of kind of what we've heard so far, I think it totally resonates from the standpoint of really now that we have so much big data, right? We're in the era of big data. We are seeing the necessity for processes to be in place to accommodate that, so that, because at the end of the day, we care about, building like our ROI, right? And so we're building these models in order to kind of to build towards that. And so the processes have really been a necessity to accommodate the growth in data, the variety, just like we talked about. And so from my perspective, I've really seen, I upon entering the field, I know you guys have a lot more experience than I do. I've kind of seen the processes kind of just be in place as a sense of needing it in order to productionalize models, in order to increase. I've been on the marketing side, so really at the end of the day, sense could matter to us. So the models being accurate, but also being able to iterate on them. So what Jolie said, failing fast becomes really important. Put a model out there, see how it's performing, and then iterate and continue to kind of make modifications, and building out these processes to get them productionalized becomes super important. And that's where data scientists really have to know that they're involved in every step of the process, from the data collection, the data integrity, the cleaning, the transformation, the model building, and putting it into production, where it can actually be leveraged either in real time or be used to make decisions quickly, right? So yeah, from that standpoint, really it's become a very big, like a necessity for the field and for different industries to kind of create these processes in order to kind of help with these business strategies and decisions that sometimes need to be made in real time.
Okay. In my point of view, just very quickly on that, the process which I worked on or developed over a few years, that was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, has changed. It was a linear process when I actually designed it in the first place, right? Thinking about what you want to achieve as an outcome, as Jolie, you mentioned, which is very, very important. In those days, people used to come and ask me, oh, give me some data and I'll do something with it. And I turned around and said, well, actually think about the problem, then thinking about the data. I think we need to think about the outcome first, what we're going to deliver, whether it will be delivered or not, and then work around that. The challenge that got was that it was a linear process from collecting data to agreeing, validating it, and then putting some model onto it and getting an output to get an outcome. Now that with machine learning and with automatic recalibration of models, I think it's becoming more a spherical model than a linear end-to-end process altogether. So I have also made that change to my analytical process or data science process from end-to-end point of view. But yeah, you guys are right. You guys from the industry are telling us this is how it is. It's changed significantly with lots of data coming in and focusing on the outcome. Good stuff. Next area. Anyone wants to make a comment before I jump on to the next section? Okay, I jump on to the next one, which is around the skills. So that's the big elephant in the room for me, because when you use this word data science, my view is that there are very few data scientists in the world, real data scientists in the world. What has happened is that people who were doing data management once upon a time thought data science is going to pay me a good salary, so they've changed their titles to becoming a data scientist. That's what I think, and I'm correct. Every time I do an interview, I think 5 times before interviewing, looking at the CV, and I see, they've created a lot of reports. They're not data scientists. What do you see? So Mitali, from your point of view, what are the important skills that you see in becoming a data scientist for people?
Yep. So if you ask me, Shally, and I'm sure my fellow panelists also would agree to me a large extent, is that the steps to get to the right insights has not changed that much. It is, to begin with, first asking the right problem statement. Many a times it comes to us and they would say, you know what, I am looking at this, or I want to look at this. Can you provide me the report? So typically they begin there. But when they begin there, they also like to understand, okay, so how could I do this better for my next quarter or a quarter ahead? And then comes the conversation wherein you would like to engage them by saying, if you keep looking at how the lagging performance being into the business, there is a ways to also look at what's going to happen, some leading indicators. So I believe the first skill as a data scientist, although you could be technically 80, 70% strong, but if you don't have that ability to connect to the business, ask the right question and make them define the problem statement well, you would not be able to basically give them what they probably are looking for. So that's the first thing. Understand the problem statement, help your business, define it such that you know what you're going to solve. The second thing is, yes, then start the data hunt. And in my experience, that's the most difficult journey. Although, I have seen many companies, we speak about large databases, we speak about how we organize our data, but trust me, still many companies today struggle to keep right data quality or right curated data that actually gives you what you want to look through the data. So then becomes the data hunt, and that's where a data scientist experience and technical capabilities come into picture to get it fast. However, today a lot of processes are getting standardized, and there's this new term and a new concept every company is getting into, and I think worldwide, is data lakes. So you're basically trying to keep everything possible in the data lakes that can be used for reporting, but as well as being organized in a manner that you can quickly put on any machine learning algorithm on top of it and try to bring out what you want. However, whenever a new problem statement comes, I have figured out that 70% your standard data, what you have in the data lake, would work, but 30% you still need to ensure that you have those additional elements around the data so that you can answer the question or you can build your model with the parameters that can actually influence or make a better decision. And the third aspect would be basically what to apply. Would always a linear approach work? No, it's not working. Word changing, the data is behaving in a very different manner. So of course the circular thing you spoke, Shally, what I call it is in Philips as well, what we call it is PDCA, plan, do, check. Keep seeing what's happening ensure what you have probably implemented 2 years back, how it has given back you inputs into the data, that it has become more valuable, and you add that extra element to bring further insight. So plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act. So then you keep doing it. And linear, more than linear algorithms, the ensemble modeling, neural networks, they are very much getting used. In Philips, we have a lot of patient images that comes in. And from those images, you really need to bring out basically the right parameters for the patient diagnosis.
Yep.
So then definitely the linear, equations never work. So you have to apply really advanced neural networks to get to that. But that's one section of using your internal machine equipment data from scanners, from MRIs to give that. However, when you come to the structured world and you have to actually support your functional leaders like a marketing head or a sales head or a finance head, you will end up having some of the logistic regressions still work very successfully. Decision tree, classification tree, trust me, helps answer business a lot of questions still today. But yes, the classification tree has to work faster than what it used to do in the past, right? But you need to have those multiple classification tree, come up with an ensemble modeling or a decision tree to give the right final equation. But that works still a lot in the executives and in the functional side of the business with the data they have in hand. So that's the second part of processing. And then the third part is when you visualize your outcome outside what you have done from your algorithm. If you can't put it in the right way, nobody understands what you have done. I've seen a lot of data scientists just fail at the last 10%, where they would have built a very excellent model. But if you don't put that last 10, last mile of effort to explain it, visualize it the way an executive or somebody can understand, you will just not make an impact. So that particular component is also very important.
So Mitali, what is the key skills you look for when you're hiring a data scientist in your team?
I definitely look for the aptitude or the patience of dealing the data, because some people, lose it. They will say, "Oh, I'm not getting the data that I want. I just can't do it. Get me the data, and I will work." I'm saying, no. A data scientist also has to ensure they get the data, right? So an ability, patient to find the data, get the data. Second, the technical skills. You need to have either these days you have a store Microsoft's, a lot of inbuilt, ready to use user-friendly mechanism. You just put in your click the button and you get to see how the data is in the data lake, how machine learning can be put. But typically our Python skills today, and we used to do SAS. Sally, I was a SAS expert when I started, but now I don't think people that much go to SAS, but they go to the previous like R and Python. I think that's the skill right now. You need to know, because I have realized otherwise you cannot basically massage the data that you want to check in and validate whether you have it. And then visualizing skill to some extent. I don't say they should know a click view or a Tableau kind of a reporting mechanisms, but in basic PowerPoint or an Excel, if you can visualize what you have done. If you can't tell your story, nobody will get what you have done. So these are some things I look at for sure. I don't look at a very great communication skills, but an ability to do three things definitely helps.
So that's, we'll talk about when we summarize this, but that's very different to what we see in Australia, Jolie. But we'll come back to Sara. What do you think about it? So what kind of skill set do you look at when you see a data scientist? What kind of skill sets do you see?
So what's interesting as we're talking is that I think we're at a point right now where our expectation of data scientists and data analysts is very high, from the standpoint of we want them to have everything, right? We want them to have the technical side and the soft skills and basically be this data unicorn, right? Which is our ideal candidate would have everything. And the realistic, the reality of it is that we'll end up having to compromise on one or more things. And so the domain experience, or even the aptitude for understanding and appreciating the domain and wanting to learn about it, is an important factor. The technical skill set and how that either their experience or, their interest aligns with the types of problems that we would be solving in our particular industry. And then obviously the communication, working with stakeholders, working with teammates, working independently, being able to take ownership of projects. So I feel like we're at a stage where, because our teams are so lean right now, because data scientists are very expensive, and depending on you know, what company you're working for, what industry, it could be a very lean team. And for that reason, we expect so much. And you guys can, correct me if you guys have seen something different, but at least from what I've seen is that this data, you know, this unicorn type person who has all these different skill sets is necessary in order to function in our current state. Now, fast forward, we're hoping, you know, we're already seeing that things are being automated, and a lot of things that require a lot of time from a technical standpoint for a data scientist will be alleviated a little bit. And so from that standpoint, understanding kind of what we said before, understanding how that relates to the business problems we're trying to solve, and understanding how to marry those two together and communicate that to the stakeholder becomes a much more important factor, and understanding strategy and being able to be creative from the beginning, from the end, and also the circular side, right? So if I'm putting myself in the standpoint of someone who is creating something for stakeholders that haven't asked the question yet, how do I ensure that I'm collecting the correct data from inception to make sure that we can answer those questions when they eventually arise, right? Like, that has to start from the very beginning. So having someone on your team that can think outside of the box, can think creatively, can put themselves in the minds of someone who's business oriented to help create this entire process and make it seamless, and have us actually have deliverable insights and strategy, things that we can action on at the end, becomes super important. So I assume we'll eventually see a shift where it'll become a little bit more well-defined, and maybe even these positions will become more well-defined. What constitutes a data scientist versus someone who's doing maybe project management or strategy, right? All of them become important on a team, but maybe eventually we'll see a little bit of more refinement. So,
Good stuff. Jolie, what's your point of view? You mute.
I think what I look for whenever I'm recruiting is always curiosity. It's the number one thing. You're curious, you want to learn, you want to explore the data, you want to deliver outcomes. You know, you've got skin in the game with what you're doing. You want to learn, develop, contribute to an organization. I think over and above any technical skills, that's what I'm after when I'm looking at skills. And I think to add to Sarah's point around the data unicorn, you know, we'd love to have those. But also I think on the flip side, you need to look at it and go, everyone's got their own magic powers. And so I like, where possible, you know, if you can't get those team of data unicorns, you get, you know, a complementary group and people coming in with different skills, so they can shine with what they bring, and then they're also complement each other and can learn as well. And so they're getting satisfaction from getting new developmental opportunities in a team. Talking about people coming from backgrounds, I mean, there's a variety of different backgrounds that people come to. I reflect on a person I used to work with, a great woman. She wasn't a triple threat, she was a quadruple threat. You know, she had a double degree in maths and psychology. She went and got an MBA, and she can code like a demon. So someone like that, you know, you kind of go, that's like your data unicorn, because they can take the data wrangling, understand and massage it, understand the processes that generated that data, because it's really important as well, understand the business context, you know, what is it they're trying to solve, and then also how does the business actually apply this. So again, to the point about no one wants to build a model that just sits on the shelf, you know, how are they actually going to take this and make it work in business processes. So I think, yeah, my feedback is curiosity is number one. don't be blinkered just to look at maybe just the stats or the computer science background. So I'm finding some really interesting candidates coming from psychology backgrounds and also accounting as well. I've seen a couple come through. I think maybe they got misclassified when they went to the degree. No offense on my accounting friends. But yeah, so really interesting backgrounds. The key thing is curiosity, wanting to engage with the business, make a difference. And then, yeah, just that point about getting a team with different skills. So that way people all get to shine in their own way, but then also get opportunities to develop. That's probably my insight there.
Okay, so my point of view is very different here, because I usually say analytics or data science is mostly about creativity. And how creative you are in the mind is what makes you how successful you are in delivering a project or an outcome that you're trying to achieve. Because I know it's about data, I know it's about statistics, I know it's about communication. But if you're not creative enough, you may not know what line of next data should I be using? What next variable should I be using? And that's where creativity comes in and plays an important role. And I think that is the key important thing that I look in a person. The other thing which I look in a person, depending upon, so we created a structured approach to this as well. So we had 3 different sections. We had a data, the guy who's very good at collecting data. So the data engineers, people call them, but I'll call them, they're purely IT guys who will write SQL and get the right amount of data. When you told them to extract, scrape, whatever they want to do, they can do that aspect. Then you've got that statistician, the guy in the middle, who's like going to write that model for you. And then you've got the insight delivery guy who's going to communicate with the business, because a very good model, if it is not utilized, as Jolie said, is good for nothing. And Mitali, you pointed that out as well. So that is the most important aspect of it. The communicator, the guy who will go and talk to the business and say, this is what you need to do. This is how you will use that particular model to get an outcome. And I think that is where most of the things that have been going on. So we've divided into 3 different sections for analytics. Now, before asking the next question, I want to make a comment. I've got around about 35 people watching us. Guys, please shoot your question in the comment section and we will take those questions. And also, if you want to hear from someone you know who is a lady in data science, woman in data science, please mention their name in the comment section and we will bring them into this platform very soon. Now, the very important question which I want to ask all 3 of you, which is around, what do you advise a budding data scientist, a beginner, to focus on to become successful? So what do a guy who's just come out of college or who's just wanting to change his field to become a data scientist, what should they focus on? Sara, I'll go with you first.
Okay, yeah, this is a good question, and I'm trying to think back to when I was teaching a boot camp, and it was a bunch of students who were transitioning, and we were, honestly focused on understanding the technical side, right, of what they would be getting into upon entering industry. So really getting accustomed to the different types of tools that you'll be utilizing when you enter the field, understand the different jargon that we use, right? There's an endless plethora of resources online. And so I think most people get discouraged and don't know where to begin. It's even, I sometimes struggle to find like credible resources to go after. So I think the main thing would be to focus on the skill sets that you'll need that are consistent across the board, which are the tool sets that you'll be using, which will be some sort of data visualization, some sort of SQL, and then a scripting language, Python or R, just some familiarity with the foundational stuff, because that never changes, right? So I think I would say focus on the things that won't change. And some of that is basic statistics, the tools, and the tools actually might eventually change. We're seeing that happen, but I think the fundamentals in terms of how you structure code, right? There's like 6 building blocks. Okay, if you know those, no matter what language you transition to, you'll always know what those building blocks are. Statistics, same. Descriptive statistics, understanding just how to think about design of experiments. There's things that don't change, and so focusing on those that tend to be consistent across the board is where I would say focus your efforts. In addition to practicing kind of your communication skills, because that becomes an important way to bridge gaps between teams and understanding how to, again, this is a common theme, right? Like communicating your insights. Otherwise, no one's doing anything about the great work that you're producing. So,
Jolie, what do you advise?
Yeah, look, I agree with Sarah, and to add to that, and extend is probably it's the storytelling. So it's, you know, understanding the tools. So absolutely, you need the foundation of the tools, you need the foundation of the processes, but actually being able to articulate, you know, how what you're doing is going to make a difference. And also understand and diagnose what the problem is that the organisation is trying to solve. So I think some of the things you need to focus on is definitely getting a handle on the languages and staying up to date with them as they change, and also as visualization techniques change, keeping abreast of those. But also just it's storytelling. It's got to be simple. The businesses has got to be able to understand it and use it. And I kind of think about it as well as sometimes, you know, it's like you're a doctor and someone's coming with you with symptoms, and you've got to be trying to diagnose what they need. You know, you need to kind of have those kind of business sensing skills as well. And I think, you know, if you get experience in that, yeah, you'll go a long way.
Okay. Mitali?
Yeah, I think Sara and Jolie really pretty much covered everything that pressure should definitely someone ensure that they have it as an inclination towards data sciences, you know, statistics, technical tools. There are a lot of open source. Get yourself trained. Don't expect to join and train you on basics of R or a Python. Get yourself trained if you have not covered it in the in your courses. Visualization skills. It's no harm learning any visualization tool which is you know, freely available, like a Tableau or a Click or any other simpler ones. So having those core basic technical knowledge definitely is a must. And I guess you know, these guys today are Insta guys, so they have this instant feedback and a instant success and a results oriented mindset. So they would want to come day one, give me a data science project. I want to build a model. So that's something they really have to you know, learn, practice. If they really want to come in from day one or day two start onto it, so do a POC is my always an advice. There is a lot of data available today. It's no harm that you pick up a proof of a concept to brush up that what actually means when data is shown to you, and without even a problem statement, can you build a problem statement, use a sample data, and build a proof of concept. It gives you a lot of when you land up into our industry. I think that will be my additional bit to it, Chad.
Okay. My advice is, and I keep it very, very short, is for people who are wanting to come to data science, and if they don't have any, they haven't they don't come from a statistics background, I ask them to go to year 10's maths book and pick up the statistics chapter and read that first. 95% of the people who I see in the industry want to become data scientists actually skip that chapter for some reason or the other, because they also thought that that chapter was, oh yeah, there's an optional question, I will skip that question, and now you're putting your whole career on the foundation which you actually skipped. So go back, read that chapter first. Anyways,
I guess the basic of a mean, median, variance, deviation. Most of us at times, you know, believe, oh, that's simple, we know it. But when it comes to the real world and you put it to a large data, removing the outliers and still making a meaning out of, is the average going to work? Is the median going to work? But your quota is to make a target line, right? That's definitely the...
I'll make another comment today. I've been told, a lot of people telling me that, you know what, in COVID, the time taken to double the number of people who were affected is now becoming longer. Well, I asked them a question. Well, it was shorter in the first place because it was 10 people to 20. How much time will it take from 10 to becoming 20? 1 day or, half a day. But how about making 1 million to 2 million? It will definitely take a longer period of time. So when your base is larger, of course it will take a long period to. So how are you calling this success, that the time taken to double the number of patients is now becoming longer? Of course, because the base is longer. People don't get it. Anyways, that's a different story and a different conversation. One question to you guys. We find very few women leaders in this space, in the data science space. Why do you think so? And is there anything that your organization is doing to encourage women to stick to this data science workforce? What's happening? What are you guys doing? Anyone wants to take that question?
Look, I can kick off with that.
Yep.
I think that, a big thing is that you can't be what you can't see. So if you don't see role models, and I'm talking about people who are kicking off their careers, if they don't see women that they can relate to or go, yeah, that's a career opportunity for me, I could go into that. My team know this story. I'll share it briefly. So when I was in preschool, I used to play Star Wars. I used to play with my preschool friends. I could only ever be Princess Leia because there was just one female character. So I was Princess Leia 1, my other girlfriend was Princess Leia 2, the other one was Princess Leia 3. I couldn't be Han Solo. I couldn't be Chewbacca. I could just be Princess Leia because that's all I could see. So I think when you kind of put it down to that, it's, you narrow the view of what people think that they can achieve because they don't see someone they can relate to. That's just childhood story there. So I think it's important, again, to have role models. And Shalendra, thank you for having a forum like this to help move the cause forward. But also I think that supporting, it's a numbers game. So I know when I came to work at my place of work, my CEO, since he started, he's only appointed women to the executive team. Trying to balance that out. And so, that's a great, we've got not only is myself there, but we've got a female CIO and we've got a female head of legal counsel. So just trying to bring some of those balance and role models in. So I think having role models that people entering the profession can aspire to, and B, I think it's about and I'd be interested in the thoughts from my other panelists around the world, is around flexibility in the workplace, because women, it's just by our nature, we have to give birth to the children. That's what happens if we have them. So we tend to get taken out of action for a while. I'll reflect, that some until there are situations where men in the workforce can take that equal time. And big call out to my husband. I went back to work with one of my children, and my husband took the first 6 months off looking after our second born. And that's because he had a really flexible and understanding workplace that went, well, we're going to help your partner go back to work because she's doing something pretty important, and we'll give you the time off. And that's acceptable for men to be able to do that in the workplace. So it's probably two things, and I think they probably apply to other industries as well, is can't be what you can't see, and also allowing that flexibility. When it's okay for dads to come in late in the morning because they've done school drop-off, then it's a lot easier for the women that do it as well. And so I think workplaces that have that going on for them tend to get more women staying on board, and I like to do that even with the guys in my team, giving them the flexibility, because I know that that's helping their partner at work and stay in their industry and profession. So I'm interested in hearing what happens in other parts of the world.
Sara, what do you think?
Sure. So this is something that has been very, very important for me as I've kind of navigated my way. And I'm sure a lot of the women who are in positions in STEM right now have also had to navigate some challenges along the way. And so I like to think about, those that are those have been doing it for a while as those that had an extreme passion and perseverance to make it through some pretty challenging either conversations or experiences. And I think part of it is opening up a dialogue between us and those that potentially are going through challenges, because it's easy to find your way out. I believe if you really wanted to and you're not so passionate about it. But I really love what Jolie said, is like you can't be what you can't see. And like I've always thought about this idea of needing more role models. Like when you're a child and you're thinking about what you want to be in the future, yeah, you want to be able to see whether it's your mom who's made it in in STEM or in data science or any very technical field that is a little bit more male dominated. You want to be able to see that in either in her, or visualize someone who's done it and look up to them and say, I want to be that one day. And so things that I've really tried to encourage, I started GLAD, which started organically on LinkedIn, where there was mentees and mentors from around the world that we just sit and talk and discuss really a lot of just data science topics. I would have loved to have more discussion around the challenges that we kind of are working through at the moment, that I feel like eventually will go away, because the diversity is becoming such an important factor in businesses across the board, right? They're realizing how important it is to encourage diversity of thought, of education, of gender, of everything. So that's really encouraging to see from that standpoint, and they're realizing how much that impacts their bottom line when they think about diversity in the sense of really being able to drive better like I'll never forget, since we're telling stories, I really love this story from a woman that I saw. She was talking about her experience at Google, and they were testing out a product. It was the Google lenses, right? And she took it home for a week. They're like, test it out for a week and then come back and give us your feedback. She's like, okay, great. She put on the glasses, wore them for a week, and came back. And they're like, so what was your feedback? She's like, well, when I take off the glasses, my hair gets stuck. They're like, well, put up your hair. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a company creating products for the entire world, not just for like half the population. And so having diverse thoughts and being able to get feedback from all points of view becomes super important. So so role models combined with just outreach and just maintaining a passion and understanding that part of it will be challenging, but in the end, everyone's benefiting from this. So yeah.
Okay, Mitali, what's your point of view on this?
I think all of it summed up, and how in our organization I have seen actually formally trying to enable such things is with a program called Philips Women League, and there are these 4 pillars that we focus upon, which is her, which Jolie spoke very strongly about. As an individual, it's important that we take care of our health a lot. If as a woman leaders or a woman data scientist in an organization, I think it's important for a woman to ensure that her health is primary focus as well. So how can you ensure that you have a healthy mind as well as a healthy body, that you can actually do healthy work too? Second is we also focus on her and hope, which is I think for every woman is a priority when it comes to along with the passion that we keep following up as an individual. But if at the home front things are not warm, controlled, and you feel okay, fine, everything is good, then you can't contribute at the work as well. It always goes hand in hand. So many things that as a company they are encouraging women with daycare centers. Flexibility, as what my fellow panelists spoke about, is very important, to be there in the workplace. And then comes the her and the work, which is where I think the whole concept of having those encouraging leaders like you, a woman or a man, but if you can look up to someone that inspires you is very important. So having enough mentors in the organization that you can find and okay, I can go and talk to that person, you should feel comfortable. or having those sessions in your organization which enables you, if you are technically feeling that I need to know a little bit more, you should have those platforms to go and learn, go and talk, and get a mentor if you want. So focusing on her at the work, you need to have certain programs. And last, what we say is her and the world. That means you need to also give her a platform outside your company to go and connect, like the one which you're having right now, Shali. So forums where you can go and talk, forums which you can go and attend, not just talk. So you need to be part of those conferences. Will you see many like you doing good in their own world, trying to make good and trying to learn from them. I think we women are I believe we are great learners. We talk a lot, so we learn fast from each other, and that helps a lot. I think these four, to sum up what my fellow panelists said, is definitely important for women to stay there in this industry as a data scientist or into any field, I might say. And I'm very fortunate that in our company we have a 26% of the workforce as a woman. As well, in the leadership position, we are at 30%. So Philips Innovation Campus Bangalore is having 30% women leaders, so which is like a great success story here.
Okay, so I request you now to do me a favor to mention names of 2 to 3 leaders in data science that you think should be here after the show in the comment section so that I can bring them here. We need to create this journey and make this journey a huge success so that we want more and more people. And do you know what? That every time I do this show, there are around about 5,000 to 6,000 viewers who actually watch this show. So I would like to promote them as much as possible. So please mention their names. And to the audience, if you know someone who you think should be on this show, a leading lady, women in data science, please mention their name in the comment section and I'll bring them here. Okay. Next, last section before the question and answers, very quickly. Success stories. Any one success story that you think has in data science that has changed the world, or you were involved with and you thought it made a huge difference to the organizations? Then go for it. Mitali, I'll go with you first.
There are definitely, I guess, couple of them as a high impact one, but also I think even the smaller insights that we give is definitely a success story for me. So every enablement we do with the data for a business to take the right decision is a success story for me. However, if you make me think about it in specifically using data science, recently in the healthcare, because of COVID situation, I think healthcare as an industry definitely some has stepped up. So for Philips, for COVID-19, we definitely have to speed up our production of easy to use ventilators. We supply ventilators as one of the key equipment in the respiratory care division, and we had to do a lot of time with government to basically supply them with 15,000 units as we speak, month end. And we also have set up production units where we can supply roughly 20 to 30,000 units by the month of May, the world. So when you scale up such productions, you definitely need to have your supply chain, set up, organized that it works faster, organize raw materials faster, your production units can be put into places that the global workforce can be organized to come there and ensure that you can deliver. Because delivering, having the right manpower right now in this COVID situation is also difficult. So our service engineers today are also out there in the markets with the hospitals, working with the clinicians hand in hand to ensure that the equipments are working. So you need to also have them in the post-production validation and testing. So a lot of things that we are doing in that front, and some of the very small things, and I'm just picking up from my very recent example, was that our company wanted to quickly look at the funnel of the deals that we could make in this space with our existing customers and the new customers. And you really need to identify those potential customers from your databases or from your market share analysis to identify such that you can go and give them the right price and sell the units. So team had to really put down quickly analysis in place, pull them up, give them the list, show them where the setup can be, and basically make the. So we actually have made, even in this situation, 600 and 860 million euro deals with US to make it happen. So I think I'm not getting into the details of the inside, but that's the impact. When we make, the team definitely feels motivated. Right now in the situation, you're making real impact. So that's a very small story from my very recent work that the team is doing.
Perfect. Jolie, any use case that comes to your mind?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've got one that's as inspirational as Mitali's right now. It's a great story with the ventilators and really topical, and thanks to your organisation for helping with the world effort there. I think I'll go into a bit of detail with a data science story that's close to my heart, but I won't give any identifying details across. So, I mean, I think one of them, when you're going into an organisation and you're establishing a function, and I recall at this time we had sort of a doubting COO, I don't think this is going to make a difference. We had serious underinvestment in IT. We had concerns around branding. I was looking at an application of data science and a risk management function, but I had a really great sponsor who believed in data science and was an early adopter of it. So we did a pilot approach and we engaged with domain experts that aren't familiar with data at all, and but had years of experience in processes and the field and customers, and built a really strong proof of concept. That ended up saving our organisation millions of dollars through fraud detection prevention strategies. And I think part of that was then the fact that after that event, or after we did that proof of concept, we got people on board, we work with stakeholders, we got the guys who are out in the field really engaged, we'd have our fraud prevention officers just, really excited about what we were doing in data. And then we had like a COO came on board. I was always a sponsor of this. It's great. Huge amount of investment in IT. Got the coin to set up a really good research team and facility and go from there. So I think, without giving away too much there, it's just really a great success story about how, you had people that probably didn't believe in it, but I think that whole engagement with the business, getting them excited about it, getting them to feel that they had ownership of it and shared success. Proof of concept, going, this thing works. We're not going to go all out and change the world. We're going to test it a little bit, see what happens, and then, the funding comes and everyone's happy and on board with the success story. So I think that's kind of an example of a successful data science story where you change processes and also get people that were perhaps unfamiliar or doubting at the start to come on board and be advocates by engaging with them and sharing success with them, I think. Yeah,
that's good. Sara, your point of view?
Right, awesome. And I love these stories. They're really fun to hear, especially because, from the start, I think it's hard. Getting people on board becomes the hardest hurdle to jump, I think, in the very beginning, and until you've kind of successfully set the grounds for the importance of either, the work that's coming out of the data science or for that particular project, it becomes your biggest hurdle. So really being able to overcome that. So when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about the first time we had to productionalize a model directly into our product. So I'm thinking about, the mobile games that we had going on and being able to identify those that were going to churn. So this involved a lot of communication and coordination between a bunch of different teams. So getting product on board to have an integration into the product directly, to understand kind of the different feature sets that we would want to do in real time, churn tagging, as well as a way to productionalize the model, leveraging kind of our BI team and our analytics team, and then getting people on board to kind of understand the importance of how this would affect our essentially being able to test, right, at scale, different types of strategies that we would want to implement and look at incremental gains that we could get. And so really for me, like, the first model that we ever got deployed was that churn model. And so I'm thinking about how difficult it was to just get everything coordinated, and it took months to achieve. And it was just exciting to kind of see that all come together.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. You know what I say, and Jolie, to your point, and Mitali, to your point, and this is what I learned or had a thing with my boss at one of the large retailers. I won't name them. He said, nothing succeeds like success. And that applies to data science too. Any project that creates a huge success story, I think everyone wants to do that. As you mentioned, I want to be the sponsor of this project, is what you hear from people. But as the moment they become popular, they see that this particular is dry. I used to say one thing, IT is a cost center, and we used to have cost centers everywhere. I used to say, I have a profit center. Beat me. And if I'm not a profit center, I'm not doing my job. And that is what is the biggest benefit I have seen out of analytics and data science. If you can't convert your business, your part of the business to a profit center, you're wasting everyone's time. And with analytics, or with data science, you have that ability to do that, and very quickly. Okay, I can go into these stories quite a lot. Let's quickly run into question and answers. And we're a bit late, so let's run very quickly. I'll go to YouTube and Facebook first, and then very quickly LinkedIn, and see how we go. Okay, start from the start. It is the first message is from Rajiv Shetty in saying hello. Hi Rajiv, how are you? The next message is from Lata Suresh, and she says, how could one make a career in data science coming from a different background? Anyone wants to take that question?
Yeah, I'll take it because I might have to hop off here really soon. So
Okay.
I've dealt with actually a lot of during my boot camp, and just generally being a mentor and doing a lot of meetups. I've come across a lot of people who are in the midst of changing their careers. And I would just say, find a way to leverage your experience that you've either had in the past, or even your, if it's, if you're just graduating, find ways to find connections between what you've done and things that you already have under your belt, and leverage that into your career transition. So there's whether it's technical or non-technical, you have something that is meaningful and valuable to bring along with you. So
Okay. Anyone else wants to put the point of view?
I can also add it that maybe if you have any quantitative subject background, then it's faster to switch it into data science. But if not, and you do not have any trainings on any tool, there are many these courses available right now, Coursera, online. So you can actually try to take a course as well to basically get the foundation of how things work. That helps, at least I have seen, to at least getting started in your career in the data science.
Okay. Sara, you want to hop off because of the commitments? Okay.
Yeah,
Bye, Sara. Thank you for coming online at this late hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
It was a pleasure talking to you, but all of you. Have a great rest of the session.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So the next question is from Babu Ramesh. Hi, Babu. How are you? He's saying, what sort of major data science vision could help women to face the universal challenge?
That's the universal challenge. I'm like, wow, it sounds like if I could solve this, I could retire to a really beautiful island somewhere. Is this about facing challenges to get into data science?
Okay, Babu, if you're watching, can you please clarify a bit further? And we'll take that question again later. If you can just put that in the comments. What do you mean by this? We've just got, it's a too broad a question to answer. Okay, there is one question, and I think it's in Spanish, and I can't read it. It's from Twitter, and it's from Laza Wall 2011. What I make of it is that how do you think data science is going to help in combating COVID-19? I think that's what she wanted to say, reading the two terms there. Any point of view?
I think that's a very good one. It's a very good one, actually.
Actually, that is one of the questions I wanted to ask, but I dropped that. So someone else has picked that up. So go for it if you want to. Otherwise, I'll have to answer.
So I mean, I'll jump in. I think that now that we've got the ability to ingest data from multiple different sources, and you've got that velocity. There's a lot of information that's changing fast. I think data science models can help pinpoint behaviours. So still the statistical methods still apply. That we can, especially things like tracking and understanding cluster breakouts and understanding what some of the factors are that are contributing to outbreaks and treatment strategies that are working. I think data science can play a really strong role in that effort. I also think data science, and I'm just calling out that at this time in the economy and the environment, being a data scientist or getting into the data science skills, it's a really interesting place to be. A lot of the clients I'm talking to at the moment are reevaluating their business strategies. They're having a look at transformation. What they used to do a month or two ago, that's out the window. They now have to adapt really quickly to this changing environment. We're not going to go back to what it was before. There's going to be some changes we're going to work with going forward. And so working to have a look at leading indicators, changing behaviours, etc., to understand new markets, new opportunities, etc. I think that's data science is a really great place to play in that as well.
Yeah. I add one only to it, that what COVID has taught us is we could not predict COVID coming. It was very difficult. Nobody could predict it coming, right? So now that it has come, I'm sure our data scientists, and with this data which we have now from hospitals, there would be, and I've read it in one of the article, like World Health Organization is also speaking about the whole of these staffing, clinicians and nurses. There is such a scarcity today, right? So if the current situation can help us also mitigate the challenges of this short staffing on the side, where exactly which locations we need to allocate the nursing staff according to the epidemic spreading. So I think those kind of proactive insights will definitely give our healthcare industry a lot of enablement to basically deal with this situation. And because this is like a hammer and then dance is what I predict this curve to be, it's never going to be just hammer and it goes flat. It will definitely be dancing for a while, and at least for this year, at least that's what my prediction is. Then you do need to have enough resources in the hospitals and the healthcare centers to deal with it. So that's where definitely I believe data science is going to help.
Okay, next question is from Somin Das, and this is for you, Mitali. He says, hi, I agree with Mitali about her explanation on the facts and data. In Indian scenario, we see that the train ticket reservation predicting 95% seat confirmation do not get confirmed when the train is on run. Where does it fail? Is it that 30% factor that Mitali explained? How can it be made to make more accurate prediction?
I think train booking system, ticketing system, so far what I have experienced, definitely is not one of the best online mechanisms today the government has. Trust me, if you try to book a ticket, the option it shows, and I have done it for my extended family for last 3 or 5 years, I'm experiencing not even a single change in their website. It just is the basic, your name, ticket, the journey and a duration, and you book it. Now, if you go to cancel it, you get your ticket back. You get your some money back. But I think the whole application, the way it is built, so many, it is nothing to be, how it is working today. But then I have believed it can further improve. Today, there is not enough information. So because somebody has to really log on to put it, it has to be made available in the devices. I might be just walking towards the station. I decided I don't want to take the train. Right? I don't have any which ways to quickly make it happen. Right? Update my status that I'm not going to board the train, or I will cancel my ticket now and I get my money later. But those indicators, they're not coming that fast in the system. And probably the data which is getting used at the back, that is not giving any proactive indicator. When I'm booking also, I only know this much is booked, that's the waiting list, and that's when you will get your next slot. But it doesn't give you any kind of a prediction around how much of a probability I have to get it.
Yep.
It's just a chance and the total queue which is moving. So I think that can further be improved for sure. And the factors could be definitely around, is there a certain situation which has happened in a certain city, those trains can't operate. A lot of time elections going, there's a band happening, tracks are closed, trains can't fly, so people definitely will be closing the tickets. So those external macroeconomics factor happening in the area, in the city, I don't think they're fed on the right time in the application to basically improve the prediction and make it more real. So it comes with a lot of lag. That's my take on it.
Okay. Next question from Komal Aswani. Hi, Komal. How are you? In many of the job posts, I've seen the recruiters write data scientist, data engineer in the JD. How can it be possible to be both? Exactly.
Yeah, I think I'll start on that one. So, data scientist, data engineer. Again, there's a lot of ambiguity with those terms. I think maybe it's because data scientist is a glamorous role now that we talk about. I have huge admiration for good data wranglers. And that'd be a data engineer. So, people who can really get that data into a format that can contribute to a data science team. They can be slightly different skills. But I think maybe it's because people see data science as something that's a little bit more exciting, but data wranglers and those people who have a really good understanding of the source of that data, like what are the processes that created that data that you're going to use in your model. I mean, that kind of insight is gold. You want to have a really good data wrangler or data engineer on your team. So I don't want to play those guys down because they can make and break a project. So my call out is data engineers are just as important in this process, and I rely on them all the time. So you can say both. Maybe there's a bit of ambiguity about what type of candidate they want to attract.
Yeah, but you can't find both the skill set in one person, because that's, as I said, a person who's doing who can do very good SQL and all that stuff cannot be writing a very good model. Well, maybe
no, you can, but they're the unicorn. So if you go and find a unicorn, great. But I think not everyone's a unicorn. So everyone's got great skills that they can contribute.
Okay. Next question is from Komal Aswani. How much of deep learning is getting used in the industry to find the solution?
I think it is definitely getting a lot used these days, Komal. Not that I'm aware when we started our career, but today the deep learning is definitely the essence. Because of, as I spoke earlier, the three: velocity, variety, and volume data building it. If you don't put deep learning algorithms, machine learning algorithms, you will not find the right interactions of the data needed for you to even get to that what you want in the equation, right? So definitely this is happening a lot today in the industry.
Okay. Next question is from Vishal Sharma. Hi Vishal, how are you? A lot of companies look for experienced candidates while hiring for data science. What are your suggestions to someone who might have industry experience, not necessarily in data science? What should they do to get hired? Should they do a lot of personal projects? Please feel free to suggest anything. Also, what is the usual hiring process? Too many questions. Mitali, you want to go?
Experience is definitely something people look for when they want for such roles. But I guess the norms are changing as well. There are a lot of freshers from the college having in campus having an ambition to build their career, and they are getting opportunities in the industry to start it. But yes, of course, if the role demands a bit of experience to come and start working, then that's how it has to be, right? Because you definitely want the person to come and start like in a day 10, he's just working hands on. But a new guy comes, you need that 2-3 months of just settling down, understanding the domain, getting started with your organization. So typically it goes which kind of a position you are looking at for what kind of a project setup, but both sides are hiring and seeking organization.
Okay. Next question is from Pavan Galot, and this is the last from YouTube, Facebook, and we'll go to LinkedIn very quickly because we're running short of time. Hello all, I'm going to join an IT company for associate product specialist role. I'm new to this role. Can you please tell me what skills should be required for this kind of a role? And I think I want to skip that question. Anyone wants to have a go, because it's a very
Look, I'd probably just go, if you're going to go do that, just make sure you're really curious and you're you want to be if you're in an IT company, just trying to make sure that you understand what the customer wants and try to work on delivering that. That's the outcome of what you're after. It's a very generic question.
Yep. Last question from Twitter. Sorry, there are too many. I can't keep up with the questions. But anyways, Sarabjit.Johal says, "Hi Sarabjit, how are you? Do personal projects use government data to train models? Do personal projects?"
Look, I think that's a suggestion about how to get into the industry. You know, things like hackathons are great. Looking at, getting your hands on some data, showing that you understand how to use it, how to wrangle it, how to get an outcome from it, and what the application of that would be, and then tell you a story about it. I think, there's a whole bunch of data that you can get your hands on, and hackathons are great fun if you've got ones in your community that you can be part of, and that gets your experience up and helps you network as well. So I think that's a suggestion.
Okay, let's move on to LinkedIn. That's the last section, and we finish. Jackie Gowan, she says, very interesting, particularly on not setting and forgetting. I wonder what data is telling us about our new future.
A lot. Are we ready to hear it? I'm not sure. So yeah, there's quite a lot of signals in there. How are we interpreting it, and are we ready? That's a really interesting question. Mitali, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that.
No, of course, I guess data can tell us a lot more, which we probably have not even heard and have seen. And it's yet to come. This whole new generation, the way they deal with the data in their palms every day, day in, day out, with such a speed, I'm sure there are wonders for us to see before we die.
No, absolutely. I think there's lots of things, but there's another thing for people to accept the outcome or the output of what data is telling you. And there are stories behind it. I'll not go there. Let me get to the next
Depends
question.
on how you tell it, Shailendra. You've got to be a good data storyteller.
Yes, I do. But if I start doing that, then we'll hear for next 2 hours, and we don't have that time. Okay, Kriti Collis is saying needs a mix of skills like unicorn. Experienced marketeers and tech execs do way better at this. We have to separate tech to actual problem solving. I think that's a comment. Thank you, Kriti, for that comment. Kriti also says, this is what management consultants do, though always not out of the box. Okay. Another comment is from Baisakhi Saha, and she says, agree to maintain quality with quantity is a real challenge.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, there is a question from Vineet Dhawan, and he says, what is incremental benefit of building real-time propensity models? Have you seen any?
Yeah, I mean, I think the incremental benefits of doing that is around if you're dealing with the propensity model and you're predicting behavior that will then change the data that you're starting to capture. So that's where the real-time aspect comes into play. So if you're building a propensity model and then you're influencing a behavior, and then that behavior then will go and change your model, I think that's where there's value. Mitali, I'm not sure if you have experience with that too.
Yeah, propensity models, I think personally benefits quite fast and quite important in changing the ways the businesses are done, either in the process or in the behavior. And typically in the business B2B setup, which I am into, for us having a healthy sales funnel is very important to meet our quarterly targets. So if a sales rep has definitely not put in one parameter the deal right, I would see a wrong probability of winning that deal versus how the sales rep would be thinking about. He might be thinking the deal that he could make it, but we would think, it's not going to. So it goes back and quickly makes the behavioral change so that we can train and coach the sales rep or give him the right support to basically make up the deal if that's a strong deal that we could make it. So it certainly very much gives you real-time inputs to change your behavior and processes.
Okay. Vineet Dhawan has a comment. He says, I agree with you, Shelly, on creativity. Person has to imagine data and what is required. Next question from Vineet again. He says, do you feel there is a resource shortage worldwide based on what we require? Can we train existing resources who are SAS experts?
I guess, yeah, SAS experts, I think they definitely can learn another tool and a technology because it's all built upon how SAS started it, right?
Mhm.
So I would say yes, just go for it. Whichever works for you, R, Python, or anything quicker from Azure, machine learning, click data, stats module, just go and pick up. It will be fast for you if you have done SAS.
Well, I think that too. If you've done SAS, you know the fundamentals. And I think it's just the fundamentals. The languages are irrelevant. You just pick up another language very quickly. What do you think, Jolie?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's about having a learning mindset. So and even when you are a SAS coder and you're starting to use different interfaces and you're like, oh, hang on a sec, this isn't what I'm used to. It's just about learning a new interface or a new process. So it's about having an open learning mindset.
Okay. This will be my last question, I promise. From Vineet Dhawan again. He says, quite interesting. All these new tools and techniques have created unknown and ambiguity. It's good that now we have access to a lot of data, but it's still becoming hard to explain in layman terms. In our days, we used to explain model outcome in plain English manner, but now it's very hard. Okay, I worked in 4 countries and experience that always tier 2 level don't buy in on analytics or modeling. How do you handle this?
It's the data storytelling. So it's about bringing it back to the problem that you're solving. You might be going down into a technical level. It depends on your audience, making sure that you modify your communication to make sure that the person that you're working with can take what they need from that information. So understanding your audience. So yeah, I guess I slightly disagree with that. I mean, it's getting really technical. It depends on what level you want to explain things, but if you can measure the outcomes, share the story, those sorts of techniques or processes can help. Sorry, Mitali, I don't know if you've got
definitely on whether the appetite is for the foundational analytics, descriptive analytics, or a prescriptive analytics. You can't force that I want to do, so I just give, right? You can't force. So you have to understand what your audience wants and accordingly give him first foundation so that you build the trust. They see your data is actually helping them. Then if you go for a descriptive or a prescriptive analytics, they will listen to you and they would like to invest to find more out of the data. So it's basically a stepped progression at times. But however, in some cases, I have seen a business stakeholders, they'll say, just give me a machine learning algorithm. I want to do artificial intelligence, right? So when there are cases, those are the ones, jump on guys, just get the data scientist. So there are 2 types.
So I'll tell you one more thing. I usually, when I hear people talking artificial intelligence, I run away. I just say, well, I don't think you know anything. Because there are people talking artificial intelligence having no idea, and they probably are talking about a linear regression somewhere.
They just want to report, Shailendra.
Oh yeah, or report. Absolutely, and doing artificial intelligence.
The artificial intelligence, machine learning. So just give me something on that.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. I was Mitali. You would laugh at this. I was in Bangalore for a session, and there were lots of startups, and all these startups came together and they started talking about what they were doing. And I bumped into one guy and said, what do you do? And he explained to me what he was doing. It turned out to be a linear regression model. And I said, isn't that predictive modeling? No, this is an AI algorithm. I said, no, this is not. It's just a predictive model, a statistical model you've written. No, but this is artificial intelligence. I said, okay. Then I asked him, please explain in plain English what is artificial intelligence algorithm. He couldn't explain. There's nothing like that. So that is the importance of people's mindset and understanding where they're using wrong terminology for wrong people, and that's huge. It's a mess in the industry. And I think I'm taking this opportunity through this platform to educate people and spread that awareness. What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning? What is predictive? What is just a statistical model? Can you please dumb it down?
But Shailendra, maybe are you doing us a disservice, because we can start saying, oh, it's artificial intelligence, it's machine learning, it's this dark art, and so maybe we can just all package it up as that, and we're actually in the background, we're all just doing a linear regression on neural network. So
I'm going to be very clear of what it is.
Just a cool thing right now to have it in, and I don't blame I think people who say it, because that's what the world is recognizing these days. People are using it as how it fits them.
So guys, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. You guys been awesome, and you've spent 1 hour and 25 minutes on the show. Time flew, and it was so good to talk to and discuss all those concepts and ideas that you guys have in the use cases. Mitali, your use cases is so good for the mankind, can't help. And Jolie, it was brilliant and great to hear from you. And for the first time face-to-face ever in life, though we've been tagged all this while for such a long time. Anyways, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you both. Please don't forget to mention 2 to 3 more names in the comment section where you want someone else to be in this seat next time. In a fortnight from now, I'm making it a fortnight episode, and watch it next time, someone else here. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Shaili. Thank you, Jolie.
Thank you, Shaili. Thank you, Mitali. Lovely to meet you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Mitali, Jolie, and Sara from 3 different parts of the world discussing data science. Some great use cases, some great stuff. Now, if you want to hear from someone, a lady in data science, women in data science, please mention their name in the comment section, and I will reach out to them and make sure that they're here and we'll hear from them. Thank you very much for taking time out. It was a long session, but I think it was great. Hope you liked it. Please stay safe, stay indoors, have fun. Bye now. See you later.